Hi guys, David O'Sullivan here, and in this video I'm going to be giving you my spoiler-filled thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That's right, in this video I'm going to be going into spoilers and talking kind of very specific kind of moments in the film that will ruin it for you if you haven't seen it already. So if you haven't seen the movie already, it's already been out for like a week or two, so I'm pretty sure you have. But if you want to know my spoiler-free thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, be sure to go and check out my film review. But in this video I'm going to be talking spoilers. And let's just get straight into this with the fact that yes, Ego the Living Planet is the villain of this movie. What? Of course, going into this film, everyone thought Aisha or the Gold People were the villains. It's what it's kind of hinted at in the trailers. But of course, no. Ego is actually the main villain in this film. Who the hell saw that coming? And first of all, I've got to talk about this in more detail because, I mean, obviously you can't address it in a spoiler-free review because it's a big spoiler. But I feel like not many people, if any, are giving this movie credit for how great the villain was. Because for me, this is the best villain since Loki. I think Ego the Living Planet, Kurt Russell in that role was really great. And I think this is the best Marvel movie villain we've had since Loki. I thought it was really great. And what was so great about it was, of course, it was a really big, surprising reveal. And I think this is the biggest reveal of any Marvel movie since the Mandarin twist in Iron Man 3. I think it was really great that they were able to keep it under wraps. And it wasn't let out, or no one knew about it going into the movie, and I thought that was really great because it was a real big surprise. I was not expecting them to go that direction, and even though at first I was like, what really? After that initial shock, as the movie progressed, as it went on, I admired the movie for that they were brave enough and bold enough to go in that direction and take the story in that direction. And I really like that. I feel like a lot of people are giving this movie credit for that because it was really kind of I mean, most of these Marvel movies, I love the Marvel movies, but pretty much every Marvel movie you go in, you know what to expect, and it's not surprising. I mean, other than they're taking down S.H.I.E.L.D. in Captain America the Winter Soldier and the Mandarin twist in Iron Man 3, there's never really any big surprises or shocking twists in Marvel movies you don't see coming. But this movie had a big one with the fact that Ego is actually the villain of the film. And I really liked how they handled it and what they did with Ego in this film. I think a lot of people aren't gonna like it, aren't gonna gravitate towards it, and I was initially kind of put off at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what, this makes sense. And I actually liked that they went in that direction because, like I said, it was refreshingly subversive. You didn't expect them to go in that direction. So even though I was initially like, oh, I don't know about that, I was initially put off. The more the movie went on, the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what, I like that. I really like that they went in that direction. I thought that was really great, and I think it was really well executed as well, really well performed by Kurt Russell. And I just love the fact that they went in that direction, and I wasn't expecting that. And it also makes sense as well. It's not like a twist that comes out of nowhere when it happens, and then there's these things that I review, and it's like, oh my god, it was and you watch the movie a second time, and there's kind of hints and seeds that are planted from the very beginning you just don't pick up on the first time because you're not there thinking he's going to be the villain. You have no idea, but then watching the movie a second time you can pick up on all of these little seeds that are planted, all these little hints along the way. Because I remember that scene where Kurt Russell is trying to get Star-Lord to control the light, and then when he does, he's like, yes, yes! I'm like, whoa, why? That's a bit of an over-the-top reaction, isn't it? And then you realise, when you know he's a villain, you realise why he's so kind of intensely excited, because he's been trying for millions of years and so many of them have failed, and now it's finally succeeded with this millionth kid, and that's why he's so incredibly excited, and he's so intense about it. It was the first time I was like, well, that was a little bit of an intense over-the-top reaction, wasn't it? But then once you know his motives and what he's been doing and what he's really trying to do, it makes complete sense why he's so unbelievably excited that he's finally found an heir that can control the light. And I really love it because at the end of the day, I remember the first time I was watching it before the whole villain reveal, and it was oh, I've been living for millions of years. I'm like, hang on a minute, if someone was this kind of godlike being, the celestial who's been living for millions of years, you would go kind of nuts, wouldn't you, if you were you're this eternal being? I mean, what's he been doing all this time? And then we eventually find out he kind of did go nuts, and he's this crazy, maniacal, kind of, evil supervillain. So I kind of liked the fact they went in that direction because it made it make more sense. And if you've been alive for that long, you're are going to go insane, aren't you? So And when it's revealed what his plan was and what he's been doing, it's kind of horrifying, you know, what he was doing, what he was trying to do. And it's like, I think it was a really great villain as well. And then that whole speech that Kurt Russell gives when he's trying to control Star-Lord and bring him onto his side, he's like, for the first time, I am truly not alone. It's like, whoa, and it really hits you. And I like the storyline because it is the main storyline of the film, you know, between him and Peter Quill there. But I liked it because obviously the first time I was getting quite emotional. You know, the scenes where they're playing catch with the ball. I love that moment where it's like he's got the light and then he passes it over, and it took like 2 or 3 times to realise he's playing catch with his dad. And obviously you mentioned that earlier, and yeah, that was really funny. And I was like tearing up during that moment. And then obviously the second time around, you feel kind of differently about Ego because you know he's a villain, but at the same time you know that he does actually care for Peter, but obviously he's got these ulterior motives. But what was so great about watching the movie the second time was that I got even more emotional, but the second time I got a lot more emotional for Yondu because, again, another one of the bigger surprises in this movie is that Yondu ends up dying at the end. And I love what they did with Yondu in this film. I love his whole arc and Yondu's kind of whole storyline in this film, because Yondu is essentially the father figure Star-Lord never knew that he actually had, because, you know, he never knew his biological father until he met him one day and then he tried to wipe out the universe. So Yondu basically was his dad. He was his stepdad. He was the one that kind of raised him and, you know, taught him how to fight, and he's been like his dad essentially all these years. And I really liked how they went in that direction. Is, you know, that line at the end when he says him, he's like, he was your father, but he wasn't your daddy. It's like, yeah, it really hits you, and it really works because it's, you know, it's all set up in the first movie. And what I loved about the direction they went with Ego and with Yondu was that it's all kind of set up in that first movie. It is a little, when it happens in this movie, you're not expecting it. It does kind of come out of nowhere in a way. But then the more you think about it, and the more you look back on the first movie, it all makes sense, and it's actually kind of like seeds that are planted and clues and things that are hinted at actually in the first movie. So you can tell James Gunn had this plan from the beginning, and he was seeding it there from the very beginning. You know, Meredith Quill, before she dies in the first movie, she even says he was an angel who burst out of pure light. And obviously this movie is all about Ego kind of trying to, you know, get Peter Quill to harness the light and all that. And at the end of the first movie, Nova Prime's like, your alien heart is something very ancient that we've never seen before. Obviously it's a celestial, he's got to be part of God. And it also makes sense because I always wondered in these movies, you know, Peter Quill, he's just a regular guy and he gets hit and bashed. He goes through so much in both of the films for that, but just seriously injure or kill a regular human being. But now this movie, it makes all of that make sense because he's part celestial, he's part God essentially. So now it makes sense why he was whacked and banged and hit and he wasn't injured or he didn't die, because he was essentially kind of, you know, part immortal, if you will. I just love everything involved with the whole storyline with Ego and with Yondu. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, not everyone's going to love it. It was very different to the first movie. The first movie is about just getting this team together and them going on a mission. This movie is a lot more kind of just exploring these characters and going more in depth and, you know, looking at who these people are and the relationships between the characters. But I like that. I like the fact that it was more scaled back. It was more about who these people are and the relationships that they have and what it's like, you know, them being in this kind of almost kind of like family with one another, and, you know, Yondu being the father figure he never knew he had. And I just love everything they did with this film. It was subversive, it was different, it did what you weren't expecting, but I really liked the direction they went and how it was all executed. I thought it was really great. And of course I got to talk about the new characters, and that is Mantis. I thought Mantis was really great in this film. I think a lot of people are overlooking Mantis, and obviously there's a lot of other really great stuff in this movie, but I thought she was really great. I loved the character of Mantis and the back and forth between her and Drax, which is like hilarious. You know, where Drax is just like, you know, so literal, so brutally honest. I mean, he means well. He's not like intentionally trying to be kind of mean and nasty. He's just speaking his mind, and he's just completely literal and brutally honest. And then she like got this kind of childlike, you know, naivety and innocence, so she doesn't realise what he's saying is mean, and it's just hilarious. I love the back and forth between Mantis and Drax in this movie, and of course at the end of the movie it's like, you're beautiful on the inside. And I just love the whole kind of relationship between those two characters. Hopefully that'll be kind of explored maybe more in the next movie. And that's another thing the movie did, that where on the first time you see it in one way, and the second time you see it in a completely different way. Because the first time you think she is just like a little bashful, little embarrassed. Maybe she is kind of falling for tracks. Maybe she does like him. And the second time it's like so obvious. She is just really scared of Ego and is trying to tell them. So I loved how the film did that. I love films that, they're like, they're not revealing something, but at the same time they're not like hiding it. They're not trying to trick you. So like the first time watch, you could be tricked into thinking it's one thing, and then the second time watch, once you know the reveal, once you know what happens, all the signs are there and you see it all straight from like the get-go. And I love movies like that. So they're not trying to cheat you, but at the same time you can be tricked into thinking it's something else, but then the second time you realise that it was all there from the beginning. You didn't pick up on all the hints and the signs. So that's what I think makes this film even more rewarding on a second watch, and I think it will hold up on multiple watches because it has these little fine details there that you can pick up on multiple watches that you might have completely missed the first time. So I think it will be very rewarding on multiple watches. Like I said, I think I liked it even more the second time round, and I'm probably going to see it again. I just loved it so much, and there was just so much about this film that I really like. So many fine details to pick up on, and of course, talking about fine details, we've got to talk about all the Easter eggs and references. So much packed into this movie. Obviously, how the duck pops up at one point. Never thought to see him again, but there he is. The Watchers. Stan Lee is a Watcher, apparently. I mean, I'm not sure if this is a confirmation of that. I would say it is, because he's sitting there with the Watchers. And also, what he says, if you picked up on it, he says, "Oh, I remember that last time I was a federal agent, a Federal Express delivery man or something, and the last time we saw Stan Lee cameo was, in Captain America Civil War, he was a Federal Express, delivery man," and that's what he says in this movie. So I'm pretty sure this is confirmation that Stan Lee in all the movies is the same character, like Uatu the Watcher. Maybe, I'm not sure, but it seems like this is a confirmation that he is the Watcher or a Watcher, and he is playing the same character in all these films. And if that's the case, that is just so cool. I mean, it's not like a massive big thing. He's not going to become one of the big main players in Infinity War or something, but the fact that it's almost like a confirmation and a wink to the fans that he could maybe very well be a Watcher, and he's playing the same character in all these films. That was pretty cool. I love that. And also, speaking of that moment, I just love that scene, and I referenced this in my spoiler-free review, when Yondu and Rocket are just going through all those like 700 jumps in one go, and it's just absolutely nuts and insane. I remember every time that happens, when I watched it, I leant over and I was like, you wouldn't get this in any other film. And that's what I love so much about it. It's just completely nuts as they're going through these hundreds of drums. It's like an 80s arcade game on acid, and I loved it. And also, we're going to talk about all the cameos in this film. We got Sylvester Stallone and Stakar, Starhawk, and we get the original Guardians from the 60s comic, I believe, because obviously these new Guardians, the main Guardians team is based on the kind of the 80s, 90s, or is it more of the modern day reboot? But we get the actual kind of original Guardians in this movie. We get Starhawk and we get the other guys there, and that was pretty cool to see. They don't play a massive part, but it was cool to see them, and I think they'll probably have a bigger part in the next one, or maybe in Volume 4 it will move entirely onto that team. That would be pretty cool to see. Maybe it would be cool to see more of those guys. I think Sylvester Stallone was good. It kind of takes you out of the film and makes you like, that's Sylvester Stallone, but at the same time he did a good job in that small role he was given. So, and that scene with him and Yondu I thought was really great and quite kind of impactful, and obviously that kind of like foreshadows what happens at the end of the film, because he's like, you will never see the flying colours on your grave or something, and then we actually see that at the end of the film when he dies and they all come and they've got the fireworks there, and that was really cool. So yeah, I'm guessing we're going to see more of them in future sequels. Of course, we get a cameo from David Hasselhoff. I was like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. But it's funny because, again, that's another thing that's kind of like set up early on. And then David Hasselhoff suddenly makes an appearance in the film. That was kind of funny. And of course, just to finish up here, we've got to talk about all the post-credit scenes. 5 post-credit scenes. What I love about these post-credit scenes, you can say, oh, it's a bit underwhelming, didn't really set up anything else. That's what I love about it. That's what I love about Guardians. It's such a standalone property. It doesn't feel the need to tie into other big movies or just set up other big movies. The post-credit scenes and all the kind of like extra nuggets in the film are all Guardians related. It's all about Guardians, and that's what I like. It's not like, oh, we got to set up Infinity War here, you know, we've got to set up all these other big movies. They don't care about that. They just want to make a really great Guardians movie, and we've got all these kind of really cool, flavoursome nuggets related to Guardians, which I like. And, you know, all the post-credit scenes are great. When Kraglin's trying to control the arrow, and it just flies into Drax, he's like, ah, 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 ah. And he just runs away. And then the Groot one I love, that's one of my favourite one, where we see teenage Groot. A lot of people might be disappointed that they're moving on from Baby Groot, but I think it was pretty obvious they're going to move on, because the whole reason why this movie is set a few months after the first movie so they could do Baby Groot, because, you know, you said it 3 years after the first movie he's going to be fully grown again. So I'm pretty sure that was the indication that, okay, this is now another few months later or a year later, he's teenage Groot now, so by the time we get to Infinity War, 4 years later, he will be fully grown again. Maybe he'll be bigger than he was before, I don't know, maybe he'll look slightly different. But I like the fact that they moved on from that. And, you know, we got the really cool Baby Groot in the film, and then we also got teenage Groot at the end there, and that was really funny to see. Maybe we'll see a little bit more teenage Groot, or maybe they'll just move back to kind of fully sized Groot. And that pretty much wraps up my spoiler-filled thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. There was so much cool stuff jam-packed in this film, so many kind of spoilerific things that I wanted to discuss and mention in my spoiler-free review, but I just couldn't, because I would just be dropping massive spoilers. So I really wanted to do this separate video just so I could talk about all these really cool spoilerific details. So there we go, those are my spoiler-filled thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Have you seen the film yet? I'm pretty sure you have. If not, why are you watching this video? But I'm pretty sure you have. So if you have seen Guardians Volume 2, what do you think about the things that I discussed, and what are your favourite kind of spoilerific kind of nuggets that were in this movie? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you like this and you want to see more, be sure to click subscribe to see more. And as I said earlier, if you want to know my spoiler-free thoughts on the film, be sure to go ahead and watch my film review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, or maybe down here to watch my top 10 best Marvel movie moments that I did with Sean Chandler. But with that said, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.